Hi everyone. Today I am going to talk about few books on gardening. कई बार हमें ये लगता है कि गार्डनिंग में है क्या कुछ सीखने को, isn't it? Many of us might be thinking that there is no need to learn gardening because it's a very basic thing and very simple procedure to grow a plant that anyone can do. You may be true, but frankly speaking, no activity, even if it's a hobby, is complete unless you टेक केयर ऑफ टेक्निकल एस्पेक्ट्स। तो इसलिए आज मैं आपको अपना पर्सनल स्टॉक दिखा रहा हूँ बुक्स का जो गार्डनिंग से रिलेटेड है। अभी यहाँ पे आप देख रहे हैं ये हर्ब्स दैट हील, देन आयुर्वेदा, और एक और बुक है आयुर्वेदा अनरेवल्ड। तो ये हर्ब्स और की बुक्स और आयुर्वेदा की है। although it is not related to gardening, but sometimes when we talk about herbal plants or medicinal plants, then these books may be of interest। और दूसरी अब आप इसके बाद देख रहे हैं कुछ बुक्स है दैट इज रिलेटेड टू प्लांट फिजियोलॉजी। फिजियोलॉजी जो है वो एक ऐसा एस्पेक्ट है जिससे कि जो प्लांट के प्रोसेसेस हैं वो आपको समझ में आते हैं। इसमें खास करके व्हेन वी टॉक अबाउट फोटोसिंथेसिस, रेस्पिरेशन और अदर एस्पेक्ट्स ऑफ न्यूट्रिएंट अपटेक। तो इसलिए इसमें आप देख रहे हैं ये प्लांट पैथोलॉजी, सॉरी प्लांट फिजियोलॉजी की है, इरेंडिस द्वारा रिटर्न। उसके बाद प्लांट फिजियोलॉजी डॉक्टर एडविन ऑक्सोल की है। फिर है फंडामेंटल्स ऑफ क्रॉप फिजियोलॉजी, व्हेन प्लांट्स आर ग्रोन ऑन लार्जर स्केल फॉर कमर्शियल फार्मिंग पर्पस, तो वो क्रॉप कहलाती है। तो वो है। इसके अलावा जो है इसमें अब हम गार्डन्स की अगर बात करते हैं तो जब आप गार्डन को थिंक करते हैं ऑन लार्जर पर्सपेक्टिव, तो व्हेन यू विजिट गार्डन्स तो उसका भी बहुत ज़्यादा आपको बेसिक नॉलेज यूज़फुल होता है। उनमें से जैसे एक ये है लंदन गार्डन्स की एक बुक है जो कि आप देख रहे हैं, लंदन गार्डन्स। और ये बुक जो है लॉर्ना पार्कर द्वारा लिखित है। इसके बाद फिर एक बुक है फोटोग्राफ्स गार्डनिंग में। फोटोग्राफी का बहुत इम्पोर्टेंट रोल है, तो उसके एस्पेक्ट को ध्यान में रखते हुए है ये बुक। काफ़ी और बुक्स हैं गार्डनिंग से रिलेटेड। अब हम आ जाते हैं फील्ड गाइड के बाद में, जैसे अ फ्लावर फॉर एवरी डे, ये भी एक अच्छी बुक है। फिर ये प्रैक्टिकल जब हम लॉन्स की बात करते हैं तो लॉन में भी काफ़ी बुक्स आती हैं। ये गार्डन लॉन्स एंड गार्डन कवर्स है। इसके बाद ये लैंडस्केपिंग की कुछ और बुक है। फिर इसके बाद आ जाता है लैंडस्केपिंग के लिए जो अलग अलग प्लांट्स है। फिर एक बहुत अच्छी बुक है ग्राउंड फोर्स, ये एलन टिशमार की बुक है जो कि काफ़ी ज़्यादा एक्सपर्टीज रखते हैं गार्डनिंग और लैंडस्केपिंग में। इसके बाद फिर ट्रॉपिकल प्लांट्स जो कि गार्डनिंग में यूज़ होते हैं उसके ऊपर भी। सो विल टेक अ लुक ऑन द फ्रंट ऑफ द बुक वन बाय वन। तो ये आप देख रहे हैं, जैसे कि हमने बात किया आयुर्वेदा, तो ये बुक एक जस्ट ब्रीफ आइडिया देता है आपको कि व्हाट एग्जैक्टली आयुर्वेदा इज। यू कैन go through this book just to help you understand. Then there is another book, herbs. Now since our main subject is on gardening, it is important for us to understand herbs. Uh, when we talk about herbs, the common herbal plants that we grow is mint. Then you grow several culinary herbs such as curry leaf plant. Then we have coleus, ajwain, the one you remember that has smell of ajwain but is not a true smell because that a different plant. And another book you can see, this is also Ayurveda unraveled. There are certain secrets in Ayurveda which normally people are not aware of, but we are not going deep into this because that's not our field. We will restrict ourselves up to gardening only. So before moving on to books that are specifically pertaining to gardening and other aspects of gardening, let's take a look on these books also. As I was telling you, it's plant physiology and cell biology. Now, why cell biology understanding may help us in understanding plants? Because when we understand cells, then we'll be able to know how it functions and what is the physiological aspects of a plant. Physiology is main aspect that we need to understand, because the processes that are covered under aspect of plant physiology only. So be it transpiration, be it photosynthesis, we need to understand and how nutrient uptake occurs in plant. And when we apply any form of nutrition, in whatever form we are going to apply, be it in uh, ground or as foliar application. So there is one more book of plant physiology. So everything is correlated to gardening. We cannot restrict ourselves just to plants and other aesthetic aspects of gardening. Now let's one more book I thought to show you. This is again a plant physiology book. This book contains some physical basic aspects of physiology that may be useful to those who are interested to understand plant physiology more. So now let's come to this. Yes, now we are going to talk about gardening in true sense. So, what sort of gardening in general do I talk about? It's about home gardening. And what kinds of plants are important in home gardening? It's house plant. So, this book generally tells us about common types of house plants. You can go through this book to know about things. Then there is one more plant book that talks about gardens. You see how to take pictures in garden. Whenever you go to any garden, first thing you do, you take out your cameras. So is a garden photography similar to general that we do in our daily lives? No. Here you need some basic understanding of photographic also aspects also, focus and all those things. What type of frame you need to present. So that book just helps to take good photographs in garden. Then is uh, this book talks about London gardens. Yes, I know I'm talking about gardening, and that too in perspective of Delhi garden aspects in terms of Delhi climate and all that. So this book is just to give you an idea what forms of knowledge is vast when we talk about gardens, and you need not to talk always about plants, plants, and plants. Places also are important. So this book is just an example of a book that, that describes plants that are growing in a particular garden in that particular location. On so say for example in February, what are the plants you want to see? So where that plants are growing in that particular season and how you can reach there. So this book tells about major gardens of London. In Delhi, there are also very many gardens. For example, Nehru Park or Sundar Nursery Garden, where you can take a visit. Then at March come, we have a wonderful garden at the President's Estate. There also you can visit for flowers. Now this is another book, A Flower for Every Day. This book is a brief information of throughout the year what changes are occurring in the author's garden, and all these things are described in this book, season wise, book wise. Now, lawn is a very important aspect when we think of gardening on ground. So, apart from home gardening, the major garden aspect is lawn. Although small lawns are possible in a home garden also, but normally lawns play a bigger role when we talk about landscaping. Landscaping means developing a land into aesthetic value with a bigger aspect. So, to help us understand this, there is one more book I suggest is Ground Force. This is written by a very well-known garden expert, Alan Tishmark, and he has described everything about, so whenever a professional person is planning about a garden, then he can go through this book and it guides us step by step how to plan a garden. Because when we think of landscaping, then planning plays a very important role of all garden aspects, because you have to apply all garden principles. So uh, there are hard elements, there are soft elements. When we restrict ourselves to soft element, then we talk about plants. Now this book describes tropical plants. Our climate is more, particularly when we are talk about major areas, then we have subtropical climate. So this book may help you to help understand some type of tropical plants that you can grow in your gardens during summer. Now the favorite what we are going to talk about topic is home gardening. So this is a good book where the author is describing a various experience. This book is published by ICR, and Mr. Pratibha Trivedi tells us about various experiences he has experienced in gardening. Wherever she was during her tenure in government service, she used to grow a number of plants. So it's description of her own gardening experience. So I think this book is a good one. You can read this. So here is another book. Title is Teach Yourself Gardening by Pramila Mehra. This book is good for beginners because it helps us understand basic aspects of gardening, principles of gardening. So you can go through this book to understand basic aspects of gardening. Now here is another book by Roman Kapoor. This is also a very general book describing many aspects of gardening. So for home gardeners, this book is good to start and learn about basic aspect. A Temple Writes written book, Flowers and Gardens. This book tells about description of plants. When you think of any book that describes plants A to Z manner, then it is of good health. It tells us a lot apart from plants. Uh, Now, when we think of gardens, then flowers become important. So, for this, we have Vishnu Sarup book on garden flowers. This book also gives us good description about various flowers that can be grown in a garden. Now, here is a book You can see its name is Gardening Guide, and this book is written by owners of Sutton Seeds, a Calcutta-based seed firm. Uh, since we are in Delhi, there are also Delhi-based good garden seed suppliers and sellers. Say, for example, Ronak Seeds or Omex Seed. There are many, and so imagine them writing a book and describing all the basic aspects of gardening and sharing their experience. So it is that kind of book written by owners of Sutton Seeds. This book describes all basic aspects, and apart from that, it also gives us some insight into organic gardening. So this is again a book that can help beginners and professionals as well. Here is Dr. Ekta Chaudhary's Garden Up. Many of you might be aware of work of this author. Well experienced, well very knowledgeable. So when you are looking for some garden tips that includes sound technical knowledge, particularly about various environmental parameters or aspects that need to be taken care of while doing gardening, then this book is of good help. It is good for beginners and for those who are doing advanced gardening. Now, this is a textbook titled Ornamental Gardening. See, when we talk of gardening in general, it is of course something that has aesthetic value. But when we talk of home gardening in detail, then ornamental gardening word brings in our mind ornamental plants. The good number of foliage plants that we see around us during summer season, some in bloom, some without flowers. There are colorful foliage plants. They, they are grown just for their ornamental value. In case someone is interested in bonsai, then he can get tips from book like this one, bonsai tips. Yes, for those also there is a book who wish to plant on rocks. So this is a book called Rock Gardening, and this book written by P. Kachru and Priya Darbari is providing us basic information on what sort of plants can be grown on rocks. They have described many plants that require less water, which can be able to sustain this type of hard parameters of water scarcity, water stress, and even in adverse climate, including some succulents also. So this book tells about all those plants that can be grown on rocks. One more book on indoor gardening written by S.C. Day. Yes, it's good for beginners. It describes plants in detail. Then there is one more book by Vishnu Swarup, who's this author. We went through the flower book also. So this book again describes indoor garden plants you can grow through. And the last book currently I am having in my present personal stock is regarding orchids. Orchids are difficult to grow as compared to other as- uh, kinds of common regular plant, but they can be grown, but they need some special care that is very different from the normal regular mixture that we prepare for common house plants. So in the end, I repeat that even though we are having sufficient knowledge of gardening, as we ourselves, if someone believes, then also we should go through gardening books as and when you get time to go through. Although I know this is the time when people prefer reading blogs more than going through these hard print books, but still they may be of use up to any extent. So even if you are a beginner, start reading about plants, about gardening, and do some small basic activities that you can do to begin gardening at home. So wish you all a very happy gardening. Wish you all a good flowers season around you. So wish you all the very best. Go gardening, enjoy nature, enjoy happiness. Thank you very much. Now let's talk about होम गार्डनिंग. तो होम गार्डनिंग में भी काफ़ी बुक्स हैं जो कि आप जैसे जैसे फॉर एग्जांपल ये प्रतिभा पी त्रिवेदी की बुक है जो कि आईसीआर का पब्लिकेशन है. इसके बाद और बहुत सारी बुक्स हैं गार्डनिंग की जो हम देखेंगे. इसमें एक है प्रोमिला मेहना की टीच योर सेल्फ गार्डनिंग. इससे मतलब ये है कि आप पहले खुद सीखिए गार्डनिंग, तो ये आप उसको प्रैक्टिस करें. ऐसी होम गार्डनिंग की एक और बुक है रोहमन कपूर की. एक और यहाँ पे आप देख रहे हैं सीजनल गार्डनिंग गाइड, क्योंकि जब हम गार्डनिंग की बात करते हैं तो सीजन्स का अपना इम्पोर्टेंट होता है. एंड यू शुड नो विच प्लांट्स आर कैपेबल ऑफ ग्रोइंग इन विच पर्टिकुलर सीजन एट ए पर्टिकुलर लोकेशन. इसके बाद ऐसे ही जब हम गार्डनिंग के सीजन्स की बात करते हैं उनमें फ्लावर सबसे पहले आ जाते हैं. तो उसमें विष्णु स्वरूप की एक बुक है गार्डन फ्लावर्स. एक और बुक ऐसे ही राइट की है फ्लावर्स एंड गार्डन्स. फिर एक और बुक है काफ़ी टेक्निकल एस्पेक्ट्स के साथ में आपको हेल्प करेगा अंडरस्टैंड करने के लिए, वो है एकता चौधरी की गार्डन अप. फिर आप जब हम बात करते हैं फोलिएज प्लांट्स वगैरह की तो उसमें ऑर्नामेंटल गार्डनिंग का वो एस्पेक्ट आ जाता है, इसमें कि हम फोलिएज प्लांट्स को बहुत ज़्यादा ग्रो करते हैं. तो उस पर आपको काफ़ी इन्फॉर्मेशन मिल सकती है. ऑर्नामेंटल गार्डनिंग बाय जीएस सैनी. अगर आप बॉन्साई में इंटरेस्ट रखते हैं तो बॉन्साई की डॉर्लिंग किंडरस्ले की ये बुक है एसेंशियल टिप्स. ये भी छोटी सी एक हैंडबुक टाइप है जो आपको काफ़ी इन्फॉर्मेशन देगी. इफ़ यू आर इंटरेस्टेड इन रॉक गार्डनिंग तो यू कैन गो विद पी काचरू और प्रिया जराबी की ये बुक है. फिर इंडोर गार्डनिंग की बुक है एससी डे की. एक और बुक इंडोर गार्डनिंग में आप पढ़ सकते हैं विष्णु सौरभ के द्वारा लिखी हुई. अगर आपको ऑर्किड्स में भी इंटरेस्ट है जो कि पर्टिकुलर क्लाइमेट डिमांड करते हैं तो उसमें एक ये बुक है कंप्लीट गाइड ऑफ ऑर्किड्स. तो ये कलेक्शन है मेरा जो कि इतने सालों से गार्डनिंग सेशंस लेने के बावजूद आई कीप रेफरिंग, क्योंकि हर ऑथर का अपना एक अलग पर्सपेक्टिव होता है जो कि वो इन्फॉर्मेशन शेयर करते हैं. तो आप गार्डनिंग के कितने ही अच्छे जानकारी रखते हो, बट आई ऑलवेज सजेस्ट यू टू कीप reading gardening books also from time to time. It will be useful to you at some stage. Thank you so much.